Welcome to an exhaustive 9-minute exploration of Michael Axworthy's A History of Iran, Empire of the Mind. We are embarking on a journey through millennia of history, culture, and the power of thought. Chapter 1. The Iranian Plateau. Geography here is destiny, a high, arid crossroads between East and West that shaped a resilient and unique civilization from the earliest human settlements. Long before the empires, Indo-European speakers arrived from the steppes, blending with the existing Elamite culture to form the primordial soup of the Iranian identity. Before Zoroaster, the religion was polytheistic, mirroring ancient India. It was Zarathustra who brought monotheism and the dualism of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. This moral framework provided the intellectual cornerstone of Iran. As Axworthy notes, Zoroastrian thought persists even today in the names of the months in the Iranian calendar. Chapter 2. The Achaemenid Empire. Cyrus the Great created the world's first true superpower, founded not just on conquest but on a revolutionary principle of tolerance. The Cyrus Cylinder records his liberation of the Jewish people from Babylonian captivity, a testament to an empire that respected the diverse customs and faiths of its subjects. Darius the Great refined the administration, establishing the satrapy system and the royal road. This was an administrative genius that even the rival Greeks could only envy. Persepolis stood as a monument to Achaemenid power, a gathering place for the diverse subjects of the empire, depicted in eternal stone as bringing gifts to their king. Chapter 3. The Hellenistic Shock. While the West calls him great, Zoroastrian tradition remembers Alexander as the accursed for the destruction of Persepolis and the loss of sacred texts. But Iran was not easily erased. The Parthians rose to challenge Rome for centuries, proving that the Persian identity was decentralized, resilient, and impossible to fully subdue. The Sasanian Empire brought a return to grandeur. This was an era of high culture and state building that defined the pre-Islamic peak of Persian civilization and identity. Khosrow I turned Iran into a beacon of learning. At Gundishapur, scholars from Greece and India met, with Khosrow stating, "Knowledge of the truth is the highest thing a king can adorn himself with." Chapter 4. The Arab Conquest. The 7th century brought Islam, but Axworthy argues that Persia didn't just submit, it transformed Islam from within, creating a unique Persianate Islamic culture. The Empire of the Mind truly flourished during the Persian Renaissance. Iranian scholars became the intellectual giants of the Islamic world, often leading where their conquerors followed. Figures like Avicenna epitomized this era. His mastery of medicine and philosophy showed that Persian thought was a global force, far exceeding the reach of any army. Then came the poets. Rumi, the mystic whose words transcend borders today. His poetry represents the Sufi heart of Iran, seeking the divine through beauty, music, and universal love. And Hafez of Shiraz, a mirror to the soul. Axworthy notes the paradox, a culture that strictly follows religious law while simultaneously celebrating wine and the beauty of the earthly world. Chapter 5. The Interregnum. Nader Shah Afshar, a military genius from humble roots, expelled invaders and even sacked Delhi, briefly restoring Iranian territorial integrity through sheer force. After Nader's chaos, Karim Khanzan brought relative peace from Shiraz, ruling as the regent of the people and nurturing the arts and commerce in a benevolent hand. Chapter 6. The Qajars. This was a painful era of decline. Iran became a pawn in the great game between the Russian and British empires, ceding vast territories in the Caucasus. The simmering discontent erupted in the 1906 constitutional revolution. For the first time, Iranians demanded limits on royal authority and the establishment of a parliament and rule of law. The 1906 revolution led to the creation of the Majlis, Iran's first parliament. This was a monumental attempt to transition from arbitrary autocracy to a rule of law, though it faced immediate and violent pushback from the crown. Massive protests in Tehran and Tabriz forced the Shah to sign the constitution. This era showed that the demand for representation is a deeply rooted, self-generated Iranian impulse. Chapter 7. The Pahlavis. Reza Shah transformed himself into the new Shah. His mission was audacious: drag Iran kicking and screaming into the modern world through top-down secularization. Infrastructure and education were modernized, but forced westernization and the banning of the veil created deep rifts between the state and the religious heart of the nation. The struggle for oil nationalization under Mossadegh was not just about economics. It was a profound assertion of national sovereignty against decades of foreign economic penetration. Mohammad Reza Shah's White Revolution aimed to modernize the countryside through land reform and literacy, yet it alienated the traditional clergy and many of the very people it intended to help. In the 1950s, Mohammad Mossadegh sought to nationalize Iran's oil, leading to a foreign-backed coup in 1953 that solidified the Shah's power but sowed the seeds of future revolution. Chapter 8: The Islamic Revolution. 1979 was a seismic shift, a complex explosion of anti-colonialism, religious fervor, and a quest for social justice that took the world by surprise. The revolution brought rule by Islamic jurists. Axworthy argues this was a novel extension of existing tendencies in Shia thought, which inherently distrusts established authority. The young republic faced a brutal 8-year war. Yet, the Iranian people showed an incredible resilience, forging a new sense of national solidarity through shared trauma and loss. In the wake of 1979, a unique paradox emerged, an Islamic republic where, according to Axworthy, only a small percentage of the population regularly attends Friday prayers, yet the religious identity remains a powerful state tool. One of the most striking contradictions is the status of women. Despite restrictive dress codes, Iranian women comprise a significant majority of university students, challenging traditional roles from within the system. Modern Iran is a land of paradoxes, where restrictive dress codes coexist with a female majority in universities, and where the youth are among the most tech-savvy in the region. Iran's youth are highly educated and tech-savvy, creating a vibrant digital empire of the mind that navigates the complex boundaries of the official state culture every day. Behind the headlines, a vibrant tech and art scene flourishes. The empire of the mind lives on in hidden galleries and the innovative spirit of Iran's young professionals. The 2009 Green Movement was a watershed moment. It demonstrated that the constitutional tendencies of 1906 never truly died, but rather adapted to the modern context of the Islamic Republic. The 2009 Green Movement showed the world that constitutional tendencies never entirely disappeared. It was a self-generated demand for the rule of law and transparency. Axworthy reminds us that Iran is not a monolith. It is a complex polity with many centers of power and opinion, far more representative than many of its neighbors outside Israel. He draws parallels to 17th century England, suggesting that out of current struggles, a more stable, representative, and free government may eventually emerge. Ultimately, it is the resilience of the Iranian people and their ancient cultural soul that remains the central theme of this long and tumultuous history. Iran's true power isn't measured in territory, but in the enduring power of its ideas. It is an empire of the mind that continues to shape global thought. The way forward for Iran lies in its own history. History shows that whenever the Persian mind is given space, it produces something extraordinary and transformative. Looking to the future, Axworthy suggests that Iran is not a totalitarian monolith. It is a complex polity with diverse power centers and a constant internal push for reform and freedom. The true power of Iran is its intellectual legacy, the empire of the mind that continues to influence the world across borders and generations. This comprehensive 9-minute journey through Axworthy's work shows us that Iran's story is one of constant self-renewal and intellectual depth. The way forward for Iran lies in its own history. Whenever the Persian mind has been given space to flourish, it has produced transformative art, science, and governance. The empire of the mind is Iran's greatest strength. Thank you for joining us on this exhaustive chapter-by-chapter review. Until next time, keep exploring the empire of the mind. Goodbye. A History of Iran. Michael Axworthy, An Empire of the Mind. A legacy that remains as a beacon for the world to understand the depth of this civilization. From the ruins of Persepolis to the bustling streets of Tehran, the story continues. We invite you to delve deeper into the chapters of this remarkable history. The pillars of the past support the vision of the future. Thank you for watching this exhaustive review. Stay curious and keep learning. The geography that forged a nation continues to inspire. A History of Iran is a journey every student of history should take. Farewell. A new dawn for understanding. Explore the empire of the mind. Michael Axworthy's definitive work. Thank you. Culture and commerce, ancient and modern. The story of Iran is the story of us all. Until next time. Poetry, the soul of the nation. Seek the divine through beauty and love. The Persian Renaissance continues. Architecture that reaches for the heavens, the Safavid peak, a unified identity. Isfahan is half the world. A city of millions, a nation of 80 million. The potential for change is self-generated. History shows the way. Modernity and tradition in a constant dance. The Pahlavi mission and the 1979 revolution. The paradoxical republic. The empire of the mind. Beyond borders, beyond time. Michael Axworthy's History of Iran. A masterpiece of understanding. A legacy of resilience, a story of soul, the history of Iran, Michael Axworthy. Thank you for joining this 9-minute journey. Strength through culture, power through thought, the empire of the mind, Michael Axworthy, farewell. The empire of the mind, Michael Axworthy, a history of Iran, thank you.